Hi everyone, this is Joy with Create It with Joy. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for watching. Today's cards, I've made two, are using the paper layering seahorses from Hero Arts. It was the add-on for the March card kit, and I absolutely adore seahorses. So this was right up my alley. So I used the die cut. I cut it out of some craft cardstock, and I was kind of just messing around. I wasn't really sure what I was going to be doing yet. But you can see at the top left screen there, I had colored it in. So I am using the Hero Arts reactive inks in sea glass and blue water. And I am using this flat tip waterbrush pen from Tim Holtz, and I love it for coloring big areas. So I'm just inking up on my glass media mat and getting that a little bit wet and just brushing over. So the one that I'm currently painting is on white cardstock. I did a watercolor cardstock, excuse me, and just kind of playing around with it, just kind of not super detailed, but really liking how this coloring has turned out. So I did it on the craft cardstock at the top using these same two colors, and it was absolutely my favorite. It turned out with this really yummy green that still is like a very oceany teal, aquamarine kind of a green, and I love how that turned out. So there's also the white Hero Arts, and I forgot to write down that color, what color that ink was, but I brushed that on to like the belly of the seahorse to make it a little bit lighter. Just kind of playing around with it. Then I would take my heat tool to it, dry it, and then see what I needed to add to that if I wanted any more. But those two are done, and how pretty are those? So there's my heat tool, drying it. If you want to add a little bit darker to the tip, that's what I did. But I just love how this reactive ink worked and how pretty it turned out. And I really loved it on the craft cardstock, you guys. I cannot say enough how pretty that turned out. It was such a surprise. So, so pretty. So I cut out, for the craft cardstock one, I cut out 3 additional craft cardstock pieces of this die cut, and this die cut is gorgeous. If you love seahorses, you will love this. Then I'm going to adhere the colored seahorse to the top of those and let those dry. And what I did was I had also sprayed these with, I have a mister with perfect pearls in it, and I sprayed it on top to give it a little bit of a shimmer on this guy here. So now what I'm going to be doing is picking out my sentiment, and it says, with waves of appreciation. I have 2 separate die cut waves. This one is Fawn Stitched Waves border. And I thought we just need to use these in a different way. It doesn't have to be waves across the bottom. It could be waves on the side. And so a little more artistic view on that. So I'm using my ruler in my MISTI and lining up my sentiment. I don't have my seahorse adhered down yet. It's just there just for placement. I'm going to be inking that up, and I use Simon Says Stamp Teal Ink because that matched perfect with how teal this seahorse turned out on this craft cardstock. Now I'm going to line up my die cuts, and you can see how perfectly that wave just goes around. And I'm going to be doing 2 die cuts with this wave. So I'm going to cut the first one. And then you can see that piece that was cut off. I will be adding the second die cut to that because I kind of want it to fit in like a puzzle, so I don't have to have so much bulk underneath this card. So I'm taking that, doing the flat side. I'm going to be cutting that out, and I like that this has the stitching on it. I think that is really adds some really pretty detail. So you can see how that slides in and fits in like a puzzle. So now let's adhere our seahorse to this. I'm using my Ranger Multimedia Matte Glue, partly because there's a lot of holes in this and you don't want to have a tape runner, and this will hold it down really good, nice and strong. And then I'm going to add some foam tape behind that first piece that has the sentiment and the seahorse, and line that up to the right of my card. And then that second piece, I am not going to be adding foam tape. That's going to be 1 layer down. Just adding some liquid glue, or you could do a tape runner. I did liquid glue, so I have a little bit of working room to slide it into where it fits in nice, like a puzzle piece. And then I'm going to be adding some of the the little dewdrops from the kit in the green, and adding a few of those around. And I just love how much white is on this card, but there's still so much going on with the wave die cut and the beautiful, beautiful seahorse. This is one of my most favorite die cuts. I mean, partly because I love seahorses, but it's so intricate and beautiful. So on to the next card. I'm going to do something kind of similar, a little bit in reverse. So this wave die cut is from Simon Says Stamp. It's the Border Waves. And I love how curled over that wave is. And so we're going to align this card onto the left side. And I'm also die cutting out the hole for the seahorse, because we're going to inlay the colored piece, if that makes sense. So we are going to use some foam tape and pop up this background piece. And I'm just doing some thin pieces going around. So I like wider foam tape because you can trim it down. It's fantastic. Line that up on the left side of an A2 size card base. Doing the same multimedia matte liquid glue, or any liquid glue that you have is fine. And then I'm going to inlay that into that popped up piece. So now we're kind of getting this reverse effect. And I went in tail first because it's got that cute little curly Q. And I'm using my tool-in-one from Spellbinders to kind of push down all the edges, lift up any white pieces that are tucked down. And I had a little mark on there I had to erase. You can see lifting up all those little pieces. And then I'm using my my jewel picker to kind of push everything down. Now it's time for the sentiment, and I'm doing Happy Birthday Fishes, and I am using Hero Art's sand embossing powder. This was from one of their kits last summer. They're one of their really beautiful ocean kits. And I used my fingers to sprinkle that on, heat that up with my heat tool, make sure it's nice and hot so you don't warp anything. And then I'm adding these Honeybee Oceanside dewdrops. Perfect, it matched perfect. The sand color and that tealish blue color matched perfect to the images here. So adhering those down with my Ranger Multimedia Matte Glue, and this card looks perfect, and it is all done. I love how these turned out. Thank you so much for watching and stopping by. I appreciate you. If you like what you've seen, please thumbs up, subscribe, please share. All the supplies I used are in links below. There are some affiliate links that cost you nothing to use, but it does help me to continue to create. Thank you again, and I'll be back here soon.